Hey guys, coldbrew here. Welcome back to another raid video. I hope you're all having a great day today. So with the addition of the mythic champions that is coming soon, we don't know exactly when. September 5th was hinted. There's a lot of worrying about many players about the state of the game and all that, but players seem to be forgetting that we have so many good champions in the game that currently you can do like 100% of the content with even epic champions. And that's what I wanted to cover in the video for today. Some of the epic MVPs that you might have been forgetting. These champions have such a unique kit that even legendaries and now, well, mythic champions would envy, right? These champions cannot be replaced for the most part, I would say, from what I'll be covering. But I've tried to tone it down to at least 10 champions. I want to cover that for today's video. I do have all of those champions that I will be mentioning, so I do have a lot of experience using them. So let's get started, because this list is, as I said, 10 champions, so it doesn't have like a 1 to 10 at any specific point. I'll just be covering them as I go. So let's get started with the Banner Lords, right? So what I wanted to cover here was a very unique epic from the Banner Lords that I think needs to be mentioned, and it's Stag Knight. His value has not dropped since 2020 that he was launched. Okay, this epic champion is not only a support but a big carry. Okay, he carries you through so much of the content because of his A2 skill, which isn't unique in itself, but because of what other skills he has within his kit, it really puts him above all the other epics that you could potentially pull through a shard. Right, he has a very unique A1 which also applies a decreased speed. And he also has a passive, which no other champion has, which actively boosts accuracy as you go through the battle. It doesn't activate it with a specific skill, but this is a passive that always can pop up if you happen to get a resist. So getting a resist is unfortunate. So this basically gives you an increased accuracy buff. So the next time you do a turn, you'll have that increased boost of accuracy just to get through that possible resist barrier that you might have been having of just not having enough accuracy to push through. So this champion right here, because of the combination of the 3 skills that I've mentioned and the simplicity of his kit, just one skill that activates and then a default skill, makes him so unique and so useful even for the end game stages of the Fire Knight hard, right? Even Fire Knight normal, of course, but Fire Knight hard is the next point where you'll be pushing. If you go here and click on teams of the week for hard mode stage 10, you'll see some mentions of Stag Knight. Well, he used to be there, but now with what's his name, with Newt, he was a little bit overshadowed, I would say. But let's see if I can find him. There we go. There's a Stag Knight in there. I was getting worried. There we go. Another one. I was getting worried that he would be completely overshadowed, but he's still very, very useful, especially for that decreased speed. That is what makes him so unique. So let's carry on to the next champion here on the list. We'll go over to the High Elves, and this is a Void champion, unfortunately, but still fortunately, because it's an epic. When we have the 2x chances, the epics have a much better chance to drop. Okay, so Andresia right here. Why is this champion so unique? Well, first of all, it's an epic. Epics can be booked much quicker compared to legendaries, and of course now the mythicals, right? So why is she so good? She, at the start of the turn, places a 50% ally protection buff for 2 turns on the ally, the lowest HP. This is so good because it protects a hero from 50% of the damage dealt. This damage then instead is transferred to Andresia. All right, it is so important to understand on how useful this can be in order to protect your damage dealer, right? And she can also place a strengthen and increased defense buff on this champion for 2 turns. This is very unique for an epic hero. There's no other epic, I believe, that does this sort of protection at the start of the turn with the 5-turn cooldown, of course. So basically that happens at the start of the fight. You can have her fast enough in order for this to actually start and get going. But she is comparable to Necret, of course, not the power of Necret, but comparable. She also has the ability to attack all enemies and increase the duration of increased defense buffs. She can also stun a target for 2 turns, which is incredible for crowd control. And then she also has a decreased critical damage debuff for 2 turns on the A1. What makes her so special and worthy of mentioning in this video was the passive. Okay, so let's carry on to the next one. And the next one is one champion here from the Sacred Order. Although we have many champions that I would want to cover, and I wanted to make this like one champion from each faction, then I limited it to 10 champions. So here I could have mentioned a couple like Shamael, Godseeker, and Eri, but the one that I wanted to say is a little bit underrated nowadays, but it used to be the thing to have. This champion used to be the PvP goddess and is also very useful for general PvE purposes, right? So why do I say that? Well, if you look at this skill, Redemption, this is unique as you can be. Okay, revives all dead allies. Well, very easy to understand. Heals them for 25% of their max health. Okay, and boosts their turn meter to max. This is what makes this champion so good. There's no other champion that can do an AoE, so all of your allies revive and boost the turn meter to max. This is comparable to what CP has, but CP has it on a single ally. So a single revive is for sure not as strong as a complete team revive. And this is used in specific combos in the arena where you use Cardinal as your reviver. Your team supposed to die from the enemies bursting you down. And if they don't have something like a block revive, then Cardinal comes in, especially with a stone skin to protect her, and revives everybody. Everybody's now at max turn meter. They get their turn and bring in the pain for the enemies. This used to be the thing to do versus nuke hegemon teams, where hegemon would be nuking you out of existence in like the first, not even the first turn, because you couldn't do anything against them. So let's carry on. There's no real champion that I would think is as unique as Farrakhan. Farrakhan the Fat, I was thinking about barbarians and how to cover this champion and why I think this champion deserves a mention in this very unique kind of list of champions. Okay, why is he so unique, coldbrew? Well, isn't he just another, well, defense down champion, another HP Baron poison? Well, he has all of this, makes him an amazing champion already, but that's not very unique, is it? Deflects some damage onto his other allies, which makes him a little bit tankier because the damage will be spread around to them and not on him. So his stats don't matter as much as they would matter on others in terms of tankiness, but they still do. What makes him so special is actually his ally attack skill. In itself, it's not unique. We have many champions that have ally attack within raid, but what makes this specifically so good and unique is because he's one of the few champions within the whole game, which is crazy, that can do a complete ally attack move. What do I mean by that? Well, he specifically states this: all allies except this champion will attack one target enemy. Of course, you'll be missing out on Farrakhan's attack, but when you're usually doing the ally attack skill, you are basing the strength of the skill on your allies' power. So you're focusing on all of your other allies to bring in their default skill, whether it has some sort of decreased speed, whether it has a lot of damage, maybe an AoE attack, the blender teams, if you guys remember. This is what makes it so special. Increased crit rate and increased crit damage is of course an added bonus, but in itself that's not that amazing. Still very strong, but the complete ally attack is comparable to legendary heroes such as Cardinal. Cardinal is a legendary hero that has this, which is an all ally attack. Of course, this guy has an immense kit, but this is a void legendary, and we're comparing a spirit epic right now. And then another champion that has an all ally attack is this guy right here, Longbeard, which is special, but also increases damage inflicted by 20%. I consider this an all ally attack, although it says 4 allies. But if you think about it, for the Hydra, it wouldn't be all allies. So for the majority of places outside the Hydra, this is all ally attack. And then we have other situations right here, such as let me show you guys Krila, right, which is kind of a disappointing legendary in terms of her ally attack. So she teams up with 3 random allies, so that's how much powerful Farrakhan the Fat is compared to, let's say, Krila. Although Krila has a lot of other things in her kit that makes her special, and the 3 random allies attack is alright for the majority of cases. If you depend on your whole team doing their attacks and coming in and hitting a specific target, then you cannot use Krila over Farrakhan the Fat. And some teams even use double Farrakhan the Fat, specifically for, let's say, the Fire Knight hard mode, because he has that complete team support through the ally attacks. Okay, and since his attack is only a single target, you want to have all your other allies be attacking. So let's continue on with the list. And I had some champions from the Ogren tribes that I did want to cover. Nothing really unique popped into my mind. There are some unique kits here that I could compare, let's say, to legendaries, but nothing really to stand out. All right, so I went through Ogren tribes, Lizament, couldn't think of something that made it so special. There are some kits that are great and all, but nothing that extremely special. Then I came on to Skinwalkers, right? Skinwalkers was the next one that I thought, okay, I have to mention Akemtum. All right, Akemtum, why is he so special? Well, this skill right here, guys, the passive Hex Blood. So when you book it out, it's a 100% chance to inflict damage from 1 poison debuff to enemies under Hex debuff whenever their allies receive damage from poison debuff. So basically, once you have Hex and poisons on basically all enemies, this becomes a very good skill. Then you're gonna ask, coldbrew, what does that even mean? Why is he so special? Well, he becomes so special because that specific skill, once it starts proccing and the Hex and poisons do their thing, it activates depending on the set that you have that champion equipped with. So let's say you have them equipped with the lifesteal set, that champion will be healing every time the poisons do damage, which this never existed before. It's a very unique kit within a champion, and that's an epic. And then if you had, let's say, the day set, the frost set doesn't work like that, but if you had the stun set, that works. So the poisons would actively create a situation where your stun can proc. Toxic set can also proc from that one. Provoke, the same thing. Any set which works based on, which used to work based on attacks, now works for specifically Akemtum based on the set that you have equipped on him. And many different builds rose up because of Akemtum being added to the game. Fantastic hero. He was once he was released, I was actually pushing out a video of him actually soloing Dragon 25, I believe, at the time he was launched, and it was just an insane thing to consider, having an epic now available possibly easily through a void shard and be able to solo Dragon. So of course you can't go around a top 10 list with epics and not cover Seer. All right, Seer, I have to cover it. There's no other champion like Seer in the game. No other champion. No question about it. Karma Burn, we've said it ad nauseum by now. It's an MVP skill. So unique, so strong, so important to have a Seer fully built out. There's no question about it. This removes buffs from your team, removes buffs from enemies. The more buffs you have, the more damage it has. Simple like that, but strong, has heck, and even has an enemy max HP bonus there to completely wipe out enemy waves. You use the Seer to push through, and once you get to the boss, you say, Seer, you've done your job, now let me take down the boss based on the strategy that I want to follow. Seer is an MVP in every single account out there that is worthy of saying, okay, I have an end game account in Raid Shadow Legends. So there's no question about it. I don't want to hear anything about this one in the comment section. She could be mythical if we didn't have Seer up until today, and Seer popped up and Plarium announced this is a mythical champion, we would all accept it and say, yes, that's a mythical champion and it's gonna break the game. So let's carry on to the next one. Demon Spawn. This might be something that you guys argue with, but Allure. Yes, Allure is the mythical worthy champion for this one. Not because of her A2 or A3, but obviously because of her A1 skill, which decreases turn meter by 25%. Just a flat number, 25%, 3 times, possibly. No need for a book. The cheapest champion there is, not a void. The only thing you need is to get lucky enough to summon her. You can have double allure to completely evaporate turn meter from bosses. This is the MVP champion and a must-have, right? Must-have champion, I would say, for many players out there. Then we go through the Undead Horde. So which one did I want to cover here? Did I want to cover Vogoth because of the way that he heals the team through when your whole team gets attacked? Not really. That's not what I wanted to cover. What I wanted to cover though is Seer. Seer. Why is he so good? He is the MVP for Clan Boss. He's been like that for at least 2 years now, I'd say. We didn't really used to use Seer before the introduction of things like the Deadwood Jedi Clan Boss calculator. I'll give you a good example because that allowed many players out there to test teams out there to find speeds that are potentially the best to go with. And Seer enabled the 2-to-1 ratio because of this skill right here, which is very, very unique. No other champion in the game currently has this sort of turn meter skill, turn meter field by 30%, increase attack boost, which very, very helpful for boosting your damage dealer's attack, and also such a low cooldown that is 3 turns plus the extra turn that you get here basically is a 2-turn skill. It is crazy. 2-turn turn meter boosting skill. Such an amazing thing to have and a must-have for players out there trying to build out a 2-to-1 ratio team for their clan boss. I have 2 Seekers maxed out. I even used one for Arena many months ago when defensive teams using Seeker were the thing, where you would have the ability to apply the increased defense buff on all allies when hit with a critical hit. That would make them a little bit tankier when being hit by things such as a Hegemon. So let's continue on to the next one. From the Dark Elves, I could have covered, I would say, Dark Hell. I thought about it. Dark Hell is very strong champion. Many champions here are very strong. Madame Sayers and all that. Dark Hell, I didn't think he could fall in the category of being so unique. He can activate poisons or even HP burns. Although I consider that very powerful, I'll think of this as an honorable mention, but I wouldn't say he would be my top 10 list for unique champions that you need to have on your account, must-haves for your account. So Dark Hell, although great, I don't think he deserves to be in this sort of list that I'm making today. And let's go on to the next one. The next one is a champion. So many in the Nitro, by the way, but it's a champion that is so simple, very similar to how Allure is, and doesn't even need to do anything. Just take a turn. Doompriest heals allies by 7.5% of their health, which is nice. Not amazing, but it's nice. And removes 1 random debuff from them at the start of this champion's turn. So the more turns you get, like Relentless Set or something else that gives you extra turns, if there was, then this becomes such an important skill for clearing through debuffs, especially when you're lacking a cleanser or block debuffs buff. Doompriest is an MVP, and many accounts out there even use her for multiple things, such as Doom Tower push for specific bosses, affinity friendly clan boss teams. She was used at the start versus Torment teams when Torment was the thing to fight in Arena every single day. So Doompriest deserves to be in my list with such a unique kit, again comparable to mythical champions. And don't worry guys, we only have like 2 left here. If I'm checking my list correctly, I think just one I could cover. The Shadowkin and Sylvan Watchers don't really shout anything to me that is so unique in terms of the epics that I could cover in this video. Of course, we have stuff like Nia with her cooldown reduction. That is cool, but I don't feel like this is so powerful, especially on how with how the AI works. Duodan has a taunt. I don't think it's that powerful. We have Ornn with the debuffs there with poisons. Shadowkin here. Maybe we have Taragi, who's kind of cool, very good and strong tank. Passive applies poisons, comparable to legendary champions that have the same kind of skill. But I didn't want to mention those as part of the video. But the final champion in my list is the one that, again, very similarly to how Seer is. If we didn't know about Geomancer so far, and we knew how this skill would work just through reading its description, and we could see examples of it, we could consider Geomancer a mythical champion if they introduce him like this. This passive right here, where you decrease the damage your allies take and deflects that onto the enemy with the HP burn that was placed by Geomancer. We would consider Geomancer an insane champion to have into raid, and the introduction of this skill would be amazing. He has also the added ability of fully depleting Terminator if you can do that, and basically stealing that Terminator and giving it to Geomancer, making this from a 3-turn cooldown to potentially even a 2-turn cooldown, because he would get an immediate extra turn if he steals 100% of the Terminator, right? So that an amazing kit, plus the weekend debuff to add on top of all that, makes this champion an MVP. I have 3 Geomancers, guys. I have 3 Geomancers maxed out on my account, and I use them in different situations. Some for Doom Tower, some for Iron Twins, some for the Hydra. 3 Geomancers. There's Geomancer with the heart. I have a Geomancer in my vault, and very easily I can just show you. There it is. My 3 Geomancers completely maxed out. It's funny and crazy at the same time that this is such an important champion and so useful. Like this Geomancer I've built out with 280 almost speed, 350 accuracy. That strong. This was the list, guys, for today. These epic champions make you think to take a step back and think, okay, I can worry about the mythical champions when the time comes. Let me worry about some epics first and whether I need them or not, and how useful they'll be on my account. Let me check on my vault. Maybe you had one of these champions in your vault. Double check, guys. Thank you all for watching the video. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. I appreciate all of you guys, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.